Nora stood in the cramped, dimly lit apartment, her gaze fixed on the stacks of unopened bills piled haphazardly on the kitchen table. The weight of their collective demands pressed down on her, a relentless force that threatened to suffocate her. Since Andrew's abrupt departure, leaving her alone to care for their young son Ethan, Nora had been treading water, barely keeping her head above the rising tide of debt. The utilities, the rent, the endless medical expenses, each one a ravenous mouth to feed, devouring what little income she could scrape together. Ethan's innocent laughter drifted in from the cramped living room, a stark contrast to the looming sense of dread that permeated the air. Nora's heart clenched with the realization that her son's carefree childhood was being eroded by the harsh realities of their circumstances. She had once harbored dreams of a better life, of pursuing her passions and carving out a fulfilling existence. Now, those aspirations felt like distant memories, drowned out by the constant hum of worry and the overwhelming need to simply survive. Nora's fingers traced the edges of the envelopes, her mind racing with calculations and contingency plans, each one more fragile and desperate than the last. The weight of responsibility bore down on her, a crushing burden that threatened to shatter her resolve. In the stillness of the apartment, Nora's breath caught in her throat, a silent scream of anguish and frustration. How had it all come to this? Where had the promise of their future vanished, leaving her stranded in this abyss of uncertainty and despair? As Ethan's delighted giggles echoed through the small space, Nora steeled her resolve. For her son, she would find a way to weather the storm, no matter the cost. With a deep, steadying breath, she turned her attention back to the daunting stack of bills, her mind already whirring with a plan to secure their survival. The relentless rhythm of the assembly line pulsed through the factory, its mechanical hum punctuated by the occasional clang of metal and the muffled grunts of the workers. Nora felt her body move on autopilot, her muscles itching with the monotony of the repetitive tasks. As the hours ticked by, her mind drifted, searching for a respite from the mind-numbing monotony. The bright fluorescent lights and the stale, industrial air stole the breath from her lungs, chipping away at her spirit with each passing minute. It was during one of these fleeting moments of distraction that Nora felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. Turning, she found herself face to face with Lily, a kind-eyed coworker, whose warm smile seemed to radiate a quiet strength. "You look like you could use a break," Lily said, her voice soft and understanding. Nora's instinct was to brush off the gesture, to maintain the stoic facade she had carefully cultivated. But there was something about Lily's gaze, a glimmer of genuine concern, that caused Nora's defenses to waver. Silently, Nora followed Lily to a secluded corner of the factory floor, where the two women settled onto a weathered bench. As they shared their meager lunches, Lily's easy conversation gradually chipped away at the walls Nora had erected around her heart. Nora found herself opening up, sharing the burdens that weighed so heavily upon her, the mounting debts, the strain of single parenthood, the ache of lost dreams. Lily listened intently, her eyes reflecting a depth of empathy that Nora had not experienced in far too long. "I know things seem bleak now," Lily said, her hand reaching out to gently squeeze Nora's. "But sometimes, all it takes is one small glimmer of hope to light the way forward." Nora felt a tremor of vulnerability in her chest, a crack in the armor that had shielded her from the world. In Lily's kindness, she saw the possibility of a connection, a lifeline to cling to in the midst of her darkest hours. As their lunch break drew to a close, Nora found herself reluctant to return to the monotony of the assembly line. Instead, she allowed Lily's words to linger, a fragile but persistent flicker of hope igniting within her. The rhythmic clanging of the factory machinery faded into the background as Nora followed Lily through the bustling streets of Asheville. Her senses were heightened, acutely aware of the vibrant energy that seemed to pulse through the city, a stark contrast to the stifling monotony of her daily grind. Lily led Nora down a narrow alleyway, pausing before an inconspicuous wooden door. "This is it," she said, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "Keep an open mind, okay?" Nora felt a flutter of apprehension, but the memory of Lily's kindness and the allure of escaping her troubles compelled her to nod in agreement. As they stepped through the door, Nora found herself immersed in a world far removed from the rigid confines of her existence. The air was thick with the scent of incense and the murmur of animated conversations, punctuated by the occasional burst of laughter or the gentle strumming of a guitar. Lily gently guided Nora through the throng of people, introducing her to a diverse array of artists, writers, and free thinkers. Nora marveled at the palpable sense of community, the way these individuals had carved out a sanctuary where they could freely express themselves without the constraints of societal norms. "This is amazing," Nora breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. Lily smiled, her gaze warm and understanding. "I knew you'd feel at home here." As they explored the space, Nora couldn't help but feel a stirring of excitement within her. The vibrant colors, the eclectic displays of artwork, and the infectious energy all seemed to reawaken a part of herself that had long been dormant. However, Nora's exhilaration was short-lived as her mother-in-law, Celia, suddenly appeared at her side. "Nora, what on earth are you doing here?" Celia demanded, her brow furrowed in disapproval. Nora felt a surge of panic, her heart racing as she struggled to find the right words. "Mother, I was just wasting your time on these frivolous pursuits," Celia interrupted, her voice dripping with disdain. "You should be focused on your responsibilities, not gallivanting around with God knows who." Lily stepped forward, her expression calm and resolute. "Mrs. Celia, with all due respect, Nora is an adult and deserves the freedom to explore her interests. This community has been a source of great comfort and inspiration for her." Celia's lips thinned into a tight line, her gaze unwavering. "Comfort and inspiration. Don't be ridiculous. Nora has a family to take care of, not time for such indulgences." Nora felt the weight of her mother-in-law's disapproval bearing down on her, the familiar sense of failure and inadequacy creeping back into her consciousness. She desperately wanted to defend her newfound passion, to find the courage to stand up to Celia's unyielding judgment. As Nora lay awake in bed, the weight of her mother-in-law's disapproval still lingering, a knock at the front door jolted her from her restless thoughts. Cautiously, she peered through the peephole, her breath catching in her throat at the sight of Lily's enigmatic friend, Ethan. Nora hesitated, her fingers trembling as she unlatched the door. "Lily said you wanted to speak with me," she asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Ethan offered her a disarming smile, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "I'm so glad you're willing to hear me out, Nora." He paused, his gaze sweeping over her weary frame. "I understand you're going through a difficult time, and I may have a solution that could help alleviate some of your financial burdens." Nora felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, but it was quickly tempered by a growing sense of unease. "What kind of solution?" "Well, I've been looking to expand my team, and I think your skills and work ethic would be a perfect fit," Ethan replied, his tone measured and persuasive. "The work is a bit unorthodox, but the pay is excellent, and it's completely off the books. No questions asked." Nora's mind raced, the allure of financial security warring with the nagging suspicion that Ethan's proposition was not entirely above board. "I'm not sure I understand. What exactly would I be doing?" Ethan leaned in, his voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. "Just some discreet deliveries, that's all." Nothing too complicated, but the compensation would be more than enough to get you and your family back on your feet. Nora felt a chill run down her spine, her ethical reservations clashing with the desperation of her situation. Ethan seemed to sense her hesitation, his hand reaching out to gently rest on her arm. I know it's a lot to take in, Nora, but think of your son, your future. This could be the lifeline you need. He paused, his gaze intense and unwavering. All I'm asking is that you consider it. The choice is yours. As Ethan turned to leave, Nora found herself torn, her mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. The temptation of financial security was powerful, but the unease she felt in the pit of her stomach was equally compelling. Cradling Ethan's business card in her trembling hand, Nora knew that she was about to make a decision that would irrevocably shape the course of her life. Nora's fingers trembled as she clutched Ethan's business card, the weight of the decision before her pressing down on her like a physical burden. With a deep, steadying breath, she made her way to the community arts center, her heart heavy with the knowledge that she would have to confront Lily about Ethan's proposition. As she entered the vibrant, welcoming space, Lily's face lit up with a genuine smile. Nora, I'm so glad you're here. I've been working on a new piece and I'd love your input. Nora swallowed hard, the words catching in her throat. Lily, I need to talk to you about something. Lily's brow furrowed, her expression shifting to one of concern. What is it, Nora? You look troubled. Ethan came to see me last night, Nora began, her gaze falling to the floor. He made me an offer. A job of sorts. Lily's eyes widened with realization. Oh, Nora, no. Please tell me you didn't. Nora felt her cheeks flush with shame. I haven't accepted it. But the money, Lily, it could help me provide for Ethan. I'm drowning, and I don't know what else to do. Lily reached out, gently taking Nora's hand in her own. I understand you're in a difficult position, but you have to know that what Ethan is offering is illegal. It could destroy everything you've worked so hard for. I know, Nora whispered, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. But the bills keep piling up, and I'm barely keeping my head above water. What choice do I have? Lily squeezed Nora's hand, her voice soft but firm. There's always a choice, Nora, even if it's not the easy one. I can't tell you what to do, but I can't in good conscience support you going down that path. Nora felt a pang of guilt at Lily's words, the weight of her decision bearing down on her once more. I don't want to lose you, Lily. You're the only true friend I have. Lily's expression softened, her eyes filled with a mixture of concern and understanding. You won't lose me, Nora, but I need you to know that I can't be a part of this. I care about you too much to watch you jeopardize everything. The two women stood in silence for a moment, the air thick with the unspoken tension of their diverging paths. Nora knew that she had to make a choice, one that would irrevocably shape the course of her life and the relationships she held dear. The late-night knock on the door sent Nora's heart racing, her mind immediately conjuring up images of Ethan or the authorities waiting on the other side. With trembling hands, she peered through the peephole, only to be greeted by the worried face of Lily. Nora hurriedly unlatched the door, ushering Lily inside. What's wrong? What happened? Lily's usually radiant demeanor was replaced by a look of sheer panic. Nora, it's Ethan's operation. The police raided it, and I think they saw me there. Nora felt the color drain from her face as the realization sank in. Oh, God. Lily, what have you done? Lily gripped Nora's arms, her eyes wide with desperation. I'm so sorry, Nora. I never meant for you to get involved in this. I just wanted to help, to give you a way out of your financial troubles. Nora's mind raced, the weight of her own decisions crashing down upon her. but I did get involved, Lily. I was considering Ethan's offer, and now we're both in danger." Lily's expression crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry, Nora. I never should have brought you into this." Nora pulled Lily into a tight embrace, her own tears welling up as the gravity of their situation sank in. "It's not your fault, Lily. I made my own choices, and now we have to face the consequences." The sound of sirens in the distance sent a chill down Nora's spine, her mind rapidly formulating a plan of action. "We need to get out of here, Lily. They might come looking for you." Lily nodded, her face etched with fear. "What about Ethan? And the others involved?" Nora's jaw tightened with resolve. "I can't worry about them right now. I have to focus on keeping you and Ethan safe." As they hastily packed a small bag, Nora's mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. She had been so close to accepting Ethan's offer, desperate to alleviate her family's financial burdens. But now, that choice had come at a devastating cost, one that threatened to unravel the fragile life she had built. With Lily by her side, Nora slipped out the door, her heart pounding with each step. The weight of her decisions bore down on her, a constant reminder of the price she might have to pay for her desperation. As they disappeared into the night, Nora knew that the reckoning had only just begun. The Community Arts Center had become a sanctuary for Nora, a place where she could lose herself in the creative process and momentarily escape the relentless weight of her troubles. As she stood before the blank canvas, the familiar scent of oil paints and turpentine providing a sense of comfort, she felt the tension in her shoulders begin to unwind. Nora dipped her brush into the vibrant hues, her strokes tentative at first, but gradually growing more confident as the image on the canvas began to take shape. The rhythmic motion of her hand, the focus required to blend the colors, all served to calm the tumult of her mind. It was during one of these immersive moments that Celia, Nora's mother-in-law, arrived unannounced. Nora's hand froze, the brush still poised above the canvas as she turned to face the disapproving glare of the older woman. "Nora, what on earth are you doing here?" Celia demanded, her voice laced with disdain. Nora felt a surge of trepidation, but she steeled her resolve, determined not to shrink away from her mother-in-law's judgment. "I'm painting, Mother. Isn't it obvious?" Celia's eyes narrowed, her lips pursed in a thin line. "Painting? I thought we had discussed this. Your responsibilities lie with your family, not these frivolous pursuits." "Mother, this isn't frivolous," Nora replied, her voice firm. "It's helping me, and it's important to me." "Important?" Celia scoffed, her gaze sweeping across the vibrant canvases that adorned the walls. "What good will this do for Ethan? He needs a stable home, not a mother who wastes her time on such nonsense." Nora felt a familiar pang of guilt, but she refused to back down. "Mother, Ethan needs a happy, fulfilled mother. This is helping me find that." Celia shook her head, her expression unyielding. "You're too delicate, too easily swayed by these flights of fancy. You need to focus on what's truly important, your family." "The family I'm trying to support and provide for," Nora retorted, her voice rising with a hint of defiance. "I know you don't approve, but this is helping me cope with everything I'm going through." "Cope?" Celia's brow furrowed with disapproval. "Nora, you're a mother. You don't have the luxury of coping. You need to be strong, reliable, not chasing after some pipe dream of artistic fulfillment." Nora felt the familiar sting of her mother-in-law's criticism, but this time she refused to let it extinguish the flame that had been reignited within her. "Mother, you may not understand, but this is helping me. It's giving me a sense of purpose, a way to express myself when everything else feels so overwhelming." Celia's gaze remained uncompromising, her lips pressed into a thin line. Well, I hope you're not neglecting your duties in pursuit of this indulgence. With that, Celia turned on her heel and swept out of the art center, leaving Nora to grapple with the weight of her words. But as Nora returned her attention to the canvas, she felt a renewed sense of purpose, a determination to prove that her creative pursuits were not just a frivolous indulgence, but a vital part of her journey to reclaim her sense of self and provide for her family. Nora's fingers trembled as she stared down at the phone in her hand, Ethan's business card burning a hole in her pocket. The weight of the decision before her felt almost tangible, a constant reminder of the precarious tightrope she was walking. On one side, there was the allure of Ethan's illicit proposition, the promise of financial security, the chance to provide a better life for her and Ethan. But the memory of Lily's terrified face, the sirens in the distance, haunted Nora's every waking moment, a stark reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. Nora paced the small confines of her apartment, her mind racing with calculations and contingency plans. The bills continued to pile up, the rent notice looming large on the kitchen counter. With each passing day, the pressure mounted, the constant worry of losing everything consuming her. As Ethan's joyful laughter filtered in from the other room, Nora felt her heart clench. How could she even consider a path that might jeopardize her son's well-being? The weight of her responsibility as a mother was a burden she could not bear to compromise. Yet, the temptation remained, a siren's call that promised to alleviate her family's financial woes. Nora knew that if she turned her back on Ethan's offer, the consequences could be devastating, not just for her, but for Lily as well. Nora sank into a chair, her head cradled in her hands as the internal struggle raged on. She thought of the community she had found at the art center, the newfound sense of purpose that had begun to blossom within her. Could she truly walk away from that, from the chance to reclaim her own dreams? The ticking of the clock seemed to mock her indecision, each second that passed a reminder of the urgency of her situation. Nora knew that she was standing at a pivotal crossroads, a decision that would irrevocably shape the course of her life. With a deep, steadying breath, Nora reached for the phone, her fingers poised to dial Ethan's number. But as she did so, the image of Lily's terrified face flashed in her mind's eye, and Nora hesitated, her resolve wavering. In that moment, Nora realized that the choice before her was not just about her own survival, but about the preservation of the fragile connections she had forged. With a newfound clarity, she knew that to truly find the peace and fulfillment she sought, she would have to dig deeper, to uncover the courage to forge her own path, no matter how daunting it might seem. Nora stood before the familiar canvas, her brush poised and her mind brimming with a renewed sense of purpose. The vibrant hues danced across the surface, each stroke infused with a newfound determination that had blossomed within her. As she immersed herself in the creative process, Nora felt the weight of her burdens begin to lift, replaced by a profound sense of peace and clarity. The Community Arts Center had become a sanctuary, a place where she could explore the depths of her own artistry and find solace in the shared experiences of those around her. Lily approached, her eyes shining with a mixture of relief and pride. "Nora, I'm so glad to see you here. I was worried after everything that's happened." Nora offered her friend a reassuring smile. "I'm all right, Lily. I've made my decision, and I know it's the right one." Lily's brow furrowed with concern. "But what about Ethan's offer? The money couldn't have helped you and Ethan so much." Nora shook her head, her gaze unwavering. "I know, Lily, but I can't sacrifice my ethics, my sense of self, for temporary financial gain. That's not the kind of life I want to give Ethan." Lily reached out and grasped Nora's hand, squeezing it gently. "I'm so proud of you, Nora. You've shown incredible strength and resilience." Nora felt a surge of gratitude, her eyes misting with unshed tears. I couldn't have done it without you, Lily. Without this community, I don't know where I'd be. Celia, Nora's mother-in-law, approached, her expression unreadable. Nora, I wanted to speak with you. Nora braced herself, expecting another barrage of criticism. But to her surprise, Celia's features softened, a hint of remorse in her gaze. I've been unfair to you, Celia admitted, her voice low and measured. I've been so consumed by my own idea of what's best that I've failed to see the strength and resilience you've shown. Nora felt a lump form in her throat, her heart swelling with a mix of emotions. Mother, Celia raised a hand, silencing Nora. No, let me finish. I'm proud of you, Nora, for standing up for yourself, for finding your passion, and for putting your family first, even when it wasn't easy. Nora felt a tear slip down her cheek as Celia reached out and pulled her into a warm embrace. In that moment, Nora felt the weight of her burdens lift, replaced by a sense of acceptance and belonging that she had never truly experienced from her mother-in-law. As Celia stepped back, her gaze filled with newfound understanding, Nora knew that she had found the courage to forge her own path, one that balanced her responsibilities with her dreams. With a renewed sense of purpose, she turned back to the canvas, her brush dancing across the surface with a newfound confidence and grace. Dear viewers, what lessons can we learn from Nora's journey about balancing our responsibilities and our authentic selves? Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey with Nora. If you enjoyed this story and found it thought-provoking, please consider subscribing to our channel, liking the video, and sharing it with your friends and family. Your engagement helps us continue to create content that inspires, educates, and connects us all. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Remember, together we can build a community that celebrates the power of storytelling and the resilience of the human spirit.